I'm sure we all did.
I went teenage boy mode. Hello, I'm Steve Peterson.
And I'm Jack Hinkle.
Welcome back to Chops Podcast, where we talk about knowing your students, knowing your content, knowing your teaching, known as the teachingtrifecta.com, https://Hinkle Peterson.
Someone would like to purchase that domain for us?
Yes.
Let us know. Steve, how we doing?
Well, we're doing well. You know, it's like fallout.
It is.
Like today was really
It's
foggy, but okay, let's talk about the signs. Like, how do you know? You talking to kindergartners? Like, how do you know fall's coming? Well, the air is like really clear, right? Low humidity, right? I think we call that a high pressure system. But
We're talking to kindergartners?
no, I'm talking.
This is a high pressure system, kids.
When I was a kindergartner,
Can I go to the bathroom?
6, 7. Okay. So, let's see here. Well, the
trees turn orange.
You know, that started to happen like really recently.
Yeah.
Jack, do you know why the trees turn orange and yellow and red? Do you know that?
I think it's because the leaves die. The tree dies.
Right, and that chlorophyll stops going. So that's like the original color
chlorophyll.
of it. That's the original color of the leaf before chlorophyll got involved.
No, I did not know that part.
Yeah, and then also the trees go by. The reason they change is because less sunlight. So they
don't produce the chlorophyll.
They pick up on the sunlight the shorter days.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
And then also temperature does affect.
Yeah.
And then of course how much moisture is in the plants.
And there's little moisture now.
Right.
It's not as humid because it's a high pressure
system.
system. It all comes back.
And it was a pretty dry summer, right?
Yes, it was.
So, but yeah, the trees sense that through however they do it, going back to photosynthesis, but they sense the days are shorter and then things start to happen.
Mm-hmm. I can tell it's fall because the amount of pumpkin spice whatever is showing up in the high school these days.
All over the place.
All over the place. You go to Aldi, down the Aldi Finds aisle,
yeah.
It's like all pumpkin stuff.
It is. They have a remarkably large section of that.
Pumpkin pretzels, pumpkin candles, pumpkin humans. I don't know. It's like with pumpkin this, pumpkin that. Want some pumpkin mustard?
Do you have a pumpkin candle in your home?
I do have a pumpkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't.
I got
resist
2
that
of
one.
them.
Those smell so good. It's like kind of vanilla-y and like creamy. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, lit that on fire. That's nice.
Yeah. I totally destroyed one last night. Just real quick.
Oliver ate it.
No. It was up on the mantle, and we have these like leaf decoration lights.
Yeah.
Right? So they're orangey, kind of yellow, but they have like little LEDs.
Okay.
And they're kind of warm, you know.
Cute.
So you put them on the mantle,
Yeah.
some around the entertainment system. And then I was replacing the batteries yesterday, and I put one on the mantle, and it rolled off, and it rolled down right to my feet. And there's like a fireplace grate there. And so I had to like reach down. You with me? I had to reach down to get the battery.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like stretching and kind of splitting. So as I did that, though, apparently part of the leaf strand got tangled in my head. Okay?
I'm trying to visualize this.
So
yeah.
it came down, like it was dropped down and it was hanging there. So when I went down, it got involved with me, and I took it down, but the leaf strand was behind a pumpkin spice candle.
Oh, boy.
A big one with glass.
Oh, no.
So I'm down there leaning down, and I pull the leaves, and that thing landed on my head and shattered.
No, it broke on your head?
No, it broke on the brick below, but it put a knot on the side of my head.
Let's see. Turn to the side.
No, you're just going to mock me. Jack.
I would never mock
it's
it.
like the size of a pea, but it hurts like a booger. And it really scared me. I mean,
yeah.
Because I was just picking up a battery in my own business, and then I had like pumpkin spice landage on my head.
So it shattered first, then hit you?
No, hit me, bounced off my head, but it was like this dense glass jar,
so it
right?
probably made this loud thud. You're
and it scared me, and then it just landed and disintegrated.
Like,
so that was the
boy.
That was the feeling last night, was little craziness with the pumpkin candle. So yeah, fall's here, kind of feels good. Cool nights, crisp mornings.
Yep.
The yard is dry.
Leaves I
Leaves.
mow, and then the leaves go away, and then 2 hours later the leaves are back. I'm like, where'd you come
Right.
from? Stop it.
Yeah, it's hard to get. Yeah, just enjoy it. It is fun though, walking on the leaves.
The crunchy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you adjust your running steps to find the ones to crunch?
There are no leaves on the sidewalk in where I run. I know.
Wow. Okay.
I think they all blow away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Oh, no, I don't like the crunchy ones.
I like
don't
going on
wanna
my way to
stay
step
away.
on them.
I don't want to be mean to the leaves. Then they're harder to rake. They didn't do anything to me other than allergies. You can also tell it's fall because people in a school system start to get a little more snippy. We're a little too comfortable, right? We're a little too comfortable. Which brings us, Steve, to our topic today. I don't know if there's a good way to wrap this up in a nice little titled bow. Have you heard? But you've heard of the term teacher bestie.
Mm-hmm.
That's like more pop culture now than it
Okay.
is before. But teacher bestie is like your best friend as a teacher, like in the school, like
Sure.
who you hang out with. If you have like a PD activity and they're like, okay, find a partner, like who you make eyes to first. Like, go with
Exactly.
you. So this idea that you came up with is kind of like a teacher bestie, but like a teacher professional bestie.
Yes.
Your
and
PB.
and I would like to
bestie.
clarify that it could be besties, like that you
Ooh.
have at least one person, but hopefully more of people that you could talk shop with, and not just going over the day, but like actually talking about like things like this, like content teaching and your students, but having, kind of dreaming and scheming, reflecting, wrapping up and planning ahead and about what's possible or what could be possible, and which I think is different than just kind of doing a replay of the day, but also, looking ahead to next steps. I think that's really important, especially to our young bow teachers, but also probably just as much to the veteran teachers, because you can benefit so much just by keep tilling the soil, right?
I would think so.
I mean,
I would think so for
obviously,
sure.
like doing this podcast has been the best PD that I've had, because each week we get together and we talk about these 3 aspects of teaching that we figure are really important to us, and we talk about concepts, and then we think about specific examples and how it applies and how to solve puzzles.
And to be clear, I think when Steve says this is the best PD, this is like us authentically talking about the concept on the fly.
Yes.
This is kind of how it goes, like peek behind the curtain. We sit and chat for however long,
Mhm.
and then one of us is like, what are we going to talk about this week? And then we like rifle through some possibilities, and there's like one concept. So Steve is like, we should talk about having like professional relationships, and like not just like to hang out and talk about your day, but like talk and shop. So we come up with these ideas on the fly too.
Yes.
And that helps us learn. And this is exactly what you're talking about. Like having somebody you can talk to talk shop just like we do.
Yes. And probably things like, as we've been doing this podcast, there's probably things that happen during your school teaching day where you're like, oh, that would be a good topic. Oh, that situation, right?
Yes.
You're kind of like
Yeah.
through the week kind of taking notes. And I remember when we first started doing this, we actually like planned out a couple, like 1 or 2.
Yeah,
and then
like when we were in our 5th episode
Yes.
or something, we're like, we should come up with these. And then by like the 10th one, we're like, we could throw out 20
yeah,
immediately.
easy. So,
Which, by the way, this is episode 99.
what?
It'll be 100 next summer.
Next summer?
No, just
Oh.
you know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, next episode will be 100, but this is 99.
Oh, we'll have to do something special. Okay, so and I would go back to my early teaching days, and I brought up, and he's been a guest on this program, but Ken Snook.
Mhm.
Ken Snook was the one that kind of ingrained that in me, as far as like he took me on as a student teacher, but he was like very attentive and intentional with me. And every day that we had class, we sat down in the band room alone and went through the day and process. How did this go? How did you think this went? What can you do better? What do you need to change?
You had a very good mentor teacher.
Very good mentor. And like he made me keep a notebook.
And he was intentional about how the process would work with you, and you kind of knew what to expect. And
he knew like how much I was going to teach and when, how many tunes I was going to conduct, what the concerts were going to look like. And then at the end of it, he made me, required me to write a paper about it.
Wow.
And that wasn't even through the university. The university didn't require that, but he was like, write down your summation of this.
Was it helpful for you to do that?
Yeah. I'm sure I still have that. I know I still have that notebook, just because that was a very formative time. But that, the idea of just like making time to talk about it, and not just, there's a time to talk about like the students in like a funny way or kind of just like complaining way,
Yeah.
right? Like you replay some stories. But if that's like the, if that's kind of like the basis of what your, time is, then it's not as healthy, I think. And it's great, and I think a lot of people do have those people that they can lean on or suggest or dream.
If you wouldn't have had Ken,
Yes.
how, like, let's say he's clearly an exceptional mentor teacher.
Correct.
Let's say you had like an average or like an above average mentor teacher.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think you would have missed out on?
I think what I lost out on just real-time feedback. Like one of the first things I learned from him, and this is going to seem like really, these are the kinds of things that he would like help me with. Like the first day at marching band camp, he's like, get your hands out of your pockets. Like you're standing there off to the side with your hands in the pockets. And he said, that's not a strong look. Get your hands out of your pockets, start moving around. He encouraged me to like practice my voice, my teacher voice. He said he'd use the word demonstrative and about projecting and the confidence and the depth of your voice. And he encouraged me to practice that on my own. And like very specific, tangible things that I could work on as a young teacher.
Yeah, that's great.
And he's one that kind of got the idea of just like the self-reflection, because he had me keep a journal. And I remember writing things in there, like when I was working with the top wind ensemble there, I would be like, caffeine affects or coffee affects your central nervous system. Like, cause I would get nervous, like teaching the juniors and seniors.
Yeah, sure.
And I'd just get jittery and it was just kind of working through that and helping me and being more confident. And then, but also doing a lot of questioning, like, how did you think this went? And so that kind of gave me a insight to how things could be.
Yeah. There you go. And when you first started teaching, did you have a quicker way that you could start analyzing those things yourself? Do you think because of Ken? I think I'm asking this question poorly, but I think when I started teaching, it took me a while to develop that kind of self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Hands in my pockets would have been over my head when I started teaching. So is there stuff like that you started to notice quicker because when you started teaching because of Ken?
Yeah, I think it's hard to think of a specific idea, but, and this is going to seem odd, and I'm sure I've talked about this before, but because I had that idea in my mind of what the teaching could look like and what it, dare I say, should look like, it gave me a sense of like very high expectations.
Yeah.
That I wasn't okay with just the teacher in the classroom going, oh, good, excellent, good for you, good. The buddy teachers or whatever I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that wasn't meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't helpful. That was just kind of like getting me through the system. And I was so. Now that was a help, along with other mentors I've had, but that was a help to have those high standards. But also then I realized, those principles stay the same or can stay the same in those high, lofty expectations, but the personality is solely who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't, and I remember having a hard time because I tried to be a collection of some of my mentor teachers, including Ken, and I'm not Ken. I don't have he's very comfortable and confident in his role because that's who he is. And then I thought I would just do that, and then it was a complete disaster. And it took me 2 years to figure that out. Yeah. It was the age old, you got to figure out where the kids are, and you can't just start like away from them. And I think it's a very common mistake. And, but so that was like a really good thing to have those lofty expectations, but then I had to find a temperate with the students I was working with at that time.
I
Pledge
think
allegiance.
Every young teacher has heard that before. You have to be yourself.
Yes.
And you can't be other teachers. And I think that's the most frustrating thing for young teachers to be, because they're like, I don't know who I am as a teacher. Like, what does that mean? What do you want me to do? And I don't know how you get out of that without just practicing teaching. I think that's the only way.
I don't think you do. I think, you practice it.
And unless you've been teaching already for a long time before you start, your actual teaching job, like maybe you taught in like a summer camp or something like that, you've developed some personality, but it's like you got to figure out who you are in the personality that you want to be as a teacher. And like, honestly, for me, I'm still tweaking that like every day.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing that's come as I've gotten older as a teacher is my self-awareness. And like, I can look at my class more in the third person and like see the entire interaction. And I think young teachers are mostly focused on themselves. Then slightly older teachers,
you can see kind of the community, the students, and yourself in the interaction.
Yes. Like step one, you're only concerned about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And like the kids are kind of second to you because you're just making sure you're doing your thing right. The second tier would be like you're only concerned about the kids. You've gotten away from yourself, then you're starting to think about them. Then I think like the third level is like you're in tune to the whole classroom. Wow. Like how they relate to each other, how they relate to you, like how the things you say can like impact all that stuff. And I go back and I think about that like every day, like every time. I mean, I'm sure many teachers do. I'm sure you do too. Like you go home and you're like, is this what I should have done?
Yep.
Did I do that one right? Could I have done it this way? Like, what's better? I don't know. And I think that like sort of like awareness keeps building as you get to be an older teacher, and then start some of the things that your cooperating teachers said, like when you were a student teaching, they really start to click. Unfortunately, it just takes a few years. You're
it
like,
does.
Oh,
you have to have some evidence.
Yeah, like I see what you mean by that. Like I'm with you now. And I remember I was told the same thing by my cooperating teachers. They're like, you gotta find your voice. And I'm like, what does that mean? But now I think like I know I have a voice, and I know like, the kids could probably recognize if it was me teaching, if it was like an AI voice or whatever that was representing what I say. Like I think they would figure it out, but I don't know if that made sense at all, but I went with it. But I've found that, and it just took a long time, and it's not something that I'm set in stone with now. Like I tweak all the time.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of ended up being a little discussion about your teacher voice and your personality. But if you're especially just starting out, there is especially if you teach older students, junior high and high school, and you're just out of college and you're like 22 years old, there's not a huge disconnect from you to them.
It's intimidating.
And, being able to feel confident in establishing your culture in your class and being welcoming, but having standards and being consistent. I mean, those are all things that take practice, and it's a craft that takes a while for us to learn. And you never figure it out totally. It's always undergoing process and review and new products, new outcomes, and of course the students are always changing. Who comes to your class and what skills and background do they have? and what you're teaching, and it's always changing.
Always. Sorry to go off track on that one.
That's okay.
But I'll bring it back. Okay, I've told you about the show Abbott Elementary.
We were just talking about that at lunch at Aspire today.
Oh, really?
Said they love it.
But you haven't seen it yet, right?
No.
Okay. Disney, Hulu, and that's where you
Disney.
So we watched that last night, and it's like new season dropped, and it's going back to this idea of like a teacher community. Like that's what they are. It's like a community of teachers all in the same school. But they do what you said like so poorly. It's a drama, like it's a comedy show. Like of course things are not going to go well. That's the point. But what drives me crazy, Steve, when I watch that show is they cannot handle each other's criticism in that show. They're like one of the characters just got moved from 2nd grade to 7th grade, and she's got to teach a new class. And the other middle school teachers are just going to say like, you're going to fail. Like you can't handle it. You can't do it. But instead of talking shop. So I wanted to go back to your point about like finding ways to talk professionally and not, what was the term you used beforehand? Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what that relationship would look like when you're talking professionally and avoiding the low hanging fruit?
You know, it kind of like how I think of it as I've never been in a book club, but I hope to be in one someday. Having something like a book or a PD or a mentor teacher, somebody that has gone before and kind of has a philosophy or something that is really attractive. Mm-hmm. So for you and for myself, obviously we're like student and teacher in the same building, then we're teacher and teacher in the same building. But then also going back, we had some of the same teachers.
True.
Over the years. And, we think about something like we were always intrigued with the work of Dr. Tim Lautzenheiser.
Very true.
Right? And a lot of his principles and his philosophies carry through to us today, and some of his speech that he uses,
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's been like that for thousands of educators across the country or world for that matter. But there were some things there that we really enjoyed chewing on, right? And it was kind of like a commonality. And then later we had a number of years ago we had Frank Troika come in as a guest teacher to work with the marching band for a few days and implemented some ideas about process and systems, and that kind of like piqued our ideas, piqued our curiosity and interest. Then also out of COVID, we gained a lot of ground during COVID. Yeah. As far as, that's when we really started talking a lot because we had all this time, right? And you and I would like talk on Sunday nights about e-learning, and we were team teaching a class, but it was e-learning, and we were obviously winging the e-learning side of things due to the pandemic, just like everybody else was. But my point is, like Dr. Tim, e-learning, Frank Troika gave us some foundational evidence to kind of step on, and it kind of gave us like a common language.
Yeah. No, that's true. And then we kind of kept going with it and wanted to keep refining and finding, like going back to that idea of finding our voice. Like, how can we implement Frank and Tim, but be Jack and Steve?
Exactly.
Wow. Full circle. Look at that.
Yeah. So I think the idea, going back to the book club idea, like having a system or an educator or philosophy that you buy into and that is kind of like resonates with you.
Yeah. Well, and thinking too, you might be like, well, I teach history by myself and I like only am close with like the math teacher. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
I would say we talked about this in an episode previously, like teaching's teaching.
Yes.
Especially for like core subjects. Like that is very congruent, more so than it is like comparing history to like music. But it's still teaching. So talk to those people about teaching and not like how to get the content across, but how are you choosing to teach your class? How does the class respond? Like that's where I thought I became like a much stronger teacher, is when Steve and I started talking about this stuff, and I could look on it at a different level, because I think we all just get so bogged down and we try to just move faster with our content. But like, let's take a step back and like see how we can change the system if it needs to be changed.
Yes. And be very intentional about that.
Yeah.
And talk about it. And yeah, going back to the COVID days, the reason we had to keep on talking about it is because things weren't working.
Yes. Yes.
And, you know,
let me tell you, they weren't working.
They were not. I mean, and those of you that taught during the pandemic, I mean, it was a high, if you chose, it was a high learning curve.
Yeah. How many assignments you get in this week? One. Only one kid missed? No, I had one assignment.
Right. Right. And so, but we weren't satisfied at that point to just say, well,
No.
it's just the pandemic. We're going to throw this. Like, we were intentionally rehashing it like every week. Like, how can we tweak this to get, who can we get? Like, we had our list. Like, who are we going to reach out to and how? And, you know, trying to be systematic.
And changing and changing and changing.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone figured out COVID. Like, there was not one person that May during the shutdown that were like, yeah, all my kids turned it in.
Yeah.
It was great.
It
went so well. We should do that. Like, nobody did that.
No.
So the point is that, like, because we were never satisfied, we never stopped changing it.
Right.
And we did that continuously. Like, we've talked about how when we team taught the young concert band,
Mm-hmm.
we tweaked our homework system constantly. We gave kids candy bars that one year. Do you remember that?
We did. I know.
And it still wasn't that great of a turnout.
It still wasn't. And we had grade hostage where we would hold their grade prison.
We made their scores out of 10,000 or something.
Yeah, and
to
their
make
scores
it so
would
bad.
tank temporarily. But the concept is that the point is that we kept on trying and trying and trying and trying, and that we weren't just going to give up with, well, we tried this and they didn't want it, so forget them.
Yeah, that's when the teaching goes to die, is when you say, well, that kids aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Kids don't care.
Kids don't care. I tried my best. It's done. You can always find a reason to blame the kids. You can always find a reason to blame the kids. But the kids are the one constant in the job. The teachers are the variables. Like, you have the choice to make changes, and as soon as you stop changing stuff and you say it's fine, the kids don't care. Like, that's bad. It's bad. It's on you.
Yep.
We're like the final stop.
Yeah. So I think that the wrap up of that little section is finding your people with a friend or two or three that you can talk about best practices with, and whether that's a book or a person, use those ideas to talk about. And then the other thing is that self-reflection is critical. I mean, it's not, I don't know if it's job one, but it's like right up there to be thinking, and it doesn't need to be in a self-deprecating way, but it needs to be something that is done fairly regularly and honestly.
Yes. Yep. Sorry, I got distracted by the sounds that were going on outside. I hope that self-reflection for most teachers is like automatic and hard to avoid.
Sure.
But you're right. That's the only way to get better.
But then the self-reflection goes a long way too, just about like life and how you choose to live your life.
This is true.
Right. Reflecting on how you're doing in life. Whew. Okay.
True.
Next thing is, speaking of a book or a philosophy to go on, a student of mine who just graduated this past spring gave me a book, The 4 Agreements.
Tell me more, Steve, about these agreements.
Well, okay, I have to give the guy credit because I did the gentleman's name that wrote the book is Don Miguel Ruiz, okay? And these are old principles. The 4 agreements are old agreements, and it goes into a different like philosophy, spiritual realm, and that's not as important as just like taking away the 4 agreements. But I wanted to address the first one because I think it does go along with the teacher mentorship, and it goes along with the teacher buddies and like who you choose to associate with. That is, make your word impeccable. And so making your word impeccable is basically, I'm gonna read it because I think it. This is a quote from that. It involves using your word to create and manifest things rather than using it to gossip or speak negatively about yourself or others. And the core practice is to be mindful of your intent and to ensure your words align with your intentions to build trust and achieve a more positive life. So be more impeccable with your word. Just be very attentive to what you are saying and like why you're saying and how you're saying it and like to whom are you saying it. And so the reason I thought about that with teacher besties and learning groups like that is that it's very easy in a job to get kind of caught up in the spin cycle of the water cooler talk, right?
Yep.
And it's easy. I mean, you go to school and you go to department to department, you know, like things that the low hanging fruit for what we complain about as teachers. You know, we complain about the kids because kids don't know X, Y, and Z. We complain about the copiers because they never have toner. We complain about the administration because they don't understand how teachers really feel. We complain about the teacher down the hallway because they're not lifting their end of the bargain up. And we can complain about the parents, and we complain about individual students and activities. And it can become a vicious cycle. But it's obviously more than just your teaching. It's how you choose to spend your words.
Like in your life.
Your life.
Yeah.
And that hopefully teaching becomes an extension of your life. But I just think, I don't know what happened to me recently. Well, there's a lot of things that happened to me recently. I don't know what happened. But where I did notice, like when I was still at the high school music department, I did notice how much of coming out of my mouth was like unproductive and it was negative, unhelpful, and things that wouldn't be shared, that things I couldn't say in front of other people.
Yeah, sure.
And it was more of a sense of like, I maybe thought it was like empowering for myself, but realistically it is not empowering for yourself. It's like very harmful to yourself when you just speak negatively in general, and you kind of gang up, and it creates a sense of tension in you, and you come to believe that there's just a lot of things in the world that aren't good, and you believe that there's not a lot of good, and you kind of almost condition yourself. I'm being like overly dramatic about complaining about students, but I think there is a time to talk about students I think you can be sarcastic and you can be silly in your professional circles, but then also there's got to be a time like, okay, what are you really going to do about it?
Right. Well, and going back to Dr. Tim, his famous statement was perception is reality. And with that, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change, right? That was his whole thing. So if you change the way you look at things, that everything's bad and horrible, the things you're going to reflect on what you see. And like, again, this isn't supposed to be some like touchy-feely thing.
No.
I think it's just real, because the teachers who talk about that stuff all the time are the teachers who probably like their jobs the least.
Yes.
I would say I like my job most days.
Mm-hmm.
And I have kids that I like a lot, and we have a good time doing that. So maybe it's harder for me to find things to complain about, but honestly, I don't think that's true. I think it's pretty, like, if you want to find stuff to complain about, you can. But going back to what Steve's thing is, if you're a person that like that's what your life is, you're not impeccable with your word, I don't think you're going to enjoy your job as much.
Right.
And if you find a person that you can talk to about real teaching stuff, it becomes this kind of curious thing. You're like, oh, how can I put this puzzle together
Right.
better? And I think that's what makes teaching fun
Right.
for me.
Yeah. Seeing it as a vocation or as
A calling.
a calling and but also an art, like something that
Yeah.
you keep. I like the word crafting.
Craft. Yeah.
Right. To however you look at it or chisel it or
Yeah,
add
you
or
still want
take
to get
away.
better.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
real.
that's interesting.
I agree. Cannot be that guy, but I got to go eat some chili.
Okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a rating, review. Appreciate you listening
Yes.
to us.
And shout out to that one person that left a review on Apple. You know who you are.
Thank you.
you. We're always
And
welcoming more.
You're welcome to reach out with any questions or comments
Yeah,
or
DM us
anything.
your questions, problems,
complaints.
complaints, anything. We
Okay.
got you.
So everybody have a great week. For Steve Peterson,
And Jack Nicholson.
we're out of here.